All right. Welcome, everybody. I uh, I have it as 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. lunchtime Eastern Time, and the this session, just in case you make sure you're in the right place at the right time, is the Admissions to Your College Forum. I'm going to turn everything over to Keisha Johnson from Arkansas State University at Three Rivers, and I'm looking forward to hearing some good conversations. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Keisha Johnson, Director of Admissions at Arkansas State University, Three Rivers in Malvern, Arkansas. And I'm really glad that all of you guys have joined us today. I know that things in the South have been really crazy over the past week. A lot of you guys have dealt with weather issues and all power outages and everything else. So I'm glad that everyone's safe and able to join us in our first ever um, virtual SACRAO conference. So I'm really excited that you guys are here. And what I want to do is just open up the floor for you guys to talk and discuss what topics that are most interesting and most important to you guys. And I'm just here to be the moderator. And so if you will, whenever you speak, if you'll just introduce yourself and where you're from, and then we'll just start our discussion. So whoever would like to go first, just jump in. And trust me, the more you guys talk, the less you have to hear me talk. So that should be incentive enough to jump in there.
Keisha, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Has anyone else had major difficulty with getting students to engage with their virtual events and have any suggestions on how they've increased that engagement?
So I'm hoping that everyone's able to hear Ty. Ty is from Arkansas State University, BB, and his question was whether or not anyone else has had difficulty in getting students engaged in virtual events, and if you have any suggestions as to how to improve engagement in those virtual events.
Hey, Ty, this is Dorian Walyun. I'm Director of Admissions and Enrollment Management at Lawson State Community College in Birmingham, Alabama. We experienced some of the same struggles. I think it was easier when the pandemic first broke out. We had better attendance. I think now there's a lot of fatigue. I think even we are a little fatigued with virtual meetings. I would love to be in a room with all of you now, as opposed to being online. So I'm interested to hear if anybody is still gaining that momentum. We had some during the summer and early in the fall for orientation sessions, so on and so forth. But now we are kind of trailing off. We did virtual chats. Our enrollment specialists do virtual chats 4 days a week. We had them at 2 days a week, and we were doing them at 10 a.m. But now the students here in Alabama are going back to school. We've added evening times. And so we get decent participation in the evening. We start them at about 5 o'clock and end them at 6. So that's what we've been doing. But I am interested to hear what others are doing. We have a large counselors luncheon and community partners luncheon that we do every spring. And it's a full day where we have, people on campus, counselors and so on and so forth. But even with us doing that virtually now, we haven't been able to get our partners to register for a virtual event. So I'm with you there, Ty.
Hello, this is Jean Brooks from Trident Technical College. We are also kind of in the same boat as far as we have virtual open houses and trying to get that participation level to a higher number would be great. And we also have a career day that we normally do and bring about 1,500 students to campus in our location. And now we're going virtually. We only have 100 participants registered. So we're definitely feeling the same love you guys are.
ASU Three Rivers has had the same struggles also. We, just like Dorian said, I think a lot of our students are just so fatigued, and we did have better participation at first. We've done some evening virtual recruitment events, and we'll get some participation in that or some attendance, but it's far lower than what we were getting on campus when we were having our traditional events. But I will say that when it gets closer to enrollment time, maybe our students tend to put things off, I don't know, but we'll get a little bit more engagement and a little more attendance because they're trying to enroll kind of at that last point. But we've also offered, some advising services and registration services virtually. But yeah, just getting that engagement and getting students to actually log in has been a challenge. Now, we have recorded our events and posted those on our social media and on our website, and we have gotten some hits and views after the fact where students don't have to be logged in at a certain time and engaged at a certain time. But that's just one of the things that we've tried to do to make it available to more people than just those who participate at that specific time. Anyone else have feedback about virtual events and engagement?
Good afternoon. I'm Adrian Rogers from Piedmont Technical College. We started off when the pandemic began. It was, there was a lot more engagement, but like you said, as time passed, it seemed like they became disengaged. The evening time has been a little bit better for us in engaging the students, but we've also had some events where we have had the students sign up ahead of time through guidance counselors and things like that at the high schools, and offered some kind of like, giveaways and things like that would be delivered to the schools. Also for guidance offices and things like that, like breakfasts and stuff, just different little ways to try and get the guidance counselors at the schools, because they're just as busy right now and trying to figure out how things are working for them. So.
Anyone else have feedback on engagement for virtual events?
I have a question for the group.
Sure, go ahead, Dorian.
Has anyone started to bring events back on campus? Are you starting to do that now with vaccines rolling out? If you are doing it, how are you doing it?
Hi there, Patricia Hall from Parker University. Our department at least has not made plans to move back onto campus. Really the only on ground that we're doing is labs. And even then it's extremely controlled so that your group is the same group that you have throughout each lab during the week. In terms of actual events, we have decided to really stay online. On Facebook, there's been a lot of campaigns to push more continuing education opportunities for alumni. So there's been engagement that way. I couldn't say particularly precise calculations, but I do know that the Facebook campaigns are continuing. So there's at least enough involvement to keep those events going, at least for our alumni. We have continued to stay online for our Parker Power open house. So this is where prospective students from all levels, undergraduate and graduate, come and receive information. And we do that. I haven't been to that event. I'm scheduled to actually go to my first one in March, which is very exciting. But we've had enough success where we at least see it as an opportunity to just continue with that process. But in terms of our department going back to campus or any expansion of other departments going back to campus, I don't have any insight on like vaccines, but that's definitely a concern that I have as well. As a worker, as a wife, a mom, like I want to know like what would the protocol be. So, but we haven't just had any word yet on that. We've just been staying with the online format, and sometimes we'll advertise on like Eventbrite, or Facebook is pretty popular, sometimes on LinkedIn. So hopefully that helps provide a little bit of insight there. Thank you.
Anyone else doing any kind of in-person events or holding in-person classes, and how are you guys managing that?
This is Nicole Hubbs from Nashville State Community College. Most of our classes are like we did in the fall. They're mostly virtual. Some things are on campus, like our healthcare, culinary, and things that have to be in person are in person. And for students, for admissions, the events that we've had have been walk-in days. So if they want to walk in and get advised in person, speak with a student success advisor, or talk to financial aid or the registrar, they can come do that. And we've had a really great response to that. For some students who don't feel comfortable working online or getting their question answered online or having a virtual appointment, we've had a great response to that on all of our campuses, really, to sort of boost our enrollment, but also to get people connected and get them the information they need. So we're continuing that again in April as we ramp up for summer and fall registration, but there are not big events happening on campus at all.
Hi, my name is Andrea Jordan. I am from Southwest Tennessee Community College in Memphis, Tennessee, and we did host some on-campus events in the fall, right before school was set to start, because students couldn't get certain things in, so they felt more comfortable. And so what we did, we only saw students by appointment only. It went really well. We did it again in the spring, close to registration. A lot of people had questions regarding financial aid, getting those last minute financial aid documents in, and it went really well. We're actually in the process of trying to do that again, because the students, they feel more comfortable coming in, seeing someone, talking to someone, as opposed to actually doing everything online. And that was something for our students that they really wanted. And so once we allowed them that option, we saw a huge success in documents being turned in on time, them meeting with their advisors, and them getting the classes that they wanted. And so it worked for us. And again, we're in the process of doing it again. We hosted a financial aid day with our school system here, where it was called Drive Up. They helped students complete their FAFSA, just gave them detailed information about things that they needed to know because some of them just wouldn't respond to our online requests and things like that.
This is Tyler with Arkansas State BB again. What we've done is started to coordinate with our TRIO bridge programs, and they have already been bringing students back to campus for Saturday workshops. And so we'll be actually attending those Saturday workshops to get in front of students that we haven't been able to get in front of out of the high schools.
Thank you all. Those were great ideas as well. At ASU Three Rivers, we do have our campus open and we are staffed on campus for students to come in for walk-ins. We do practice social distancing. We require masks. And we are doing individual campus tours or like a group tour if it's the same family. But as far as actual on-campus large events, we have not done. Our classes that are on campus are all social distanced as well, but we have done a blend of virtual and in-person classes, as well as the traditional online courses for the semester. Is anyone else holding on-campus events that would like to share? What about other topics that you guys would like to discuss? Okay, I do have a question for you guys. Have you guys experienced a change in employee morale or motivation during this pandemic time, especially kind of having some disconnect from being in person? And what have you done to try to improve that?
Hi, this is Carrie Deadwater with Jones College here in Mississippi. One thing that we have really done is trying to put our employees first. We are continuing a rotation of work from home, so that way they can interact with one another. You know, they're not sitting at home with their kids all day. They actually get to see adults. And then they also are able to keep in touch with the leadership team, know what's going on, because I know that when we were at home for a lengthy period of time, nobody knew anything. We were all confused on what was going on. There was just that lack of communication. Even though I know it was tried, it's something new. It wasn't established yet. So being able to be in the office and interact with adults while also, though, having their time at home and taking advantage of that has really kind of helped morale and just kind of helped the easiness during the COVID times.
This is Jonathan Race. I'm in the Office of the Registrar at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte, and I know I'm not part of this group, but I'm listening in. So I wanted to throw out some things that we're doing in our office that might be a benefit. I don't know. When the pandemic hit, we were pretty much prepared. We had done a training on exactly this scenario before COVID hit, maybe a month before, and so back in February of 2020. And so we were kind of prepared for that. We had ordered tablets for everybody in the office, not for the pandemic, but for the fact that they could go to a meeting and take that tablet and take notes and bring it back to the office so that they can share that information with the rest of the group. So we had technology for our staff to be able to take it home immediately. But as things went on, as it progressed, we started offering up, well, hey, if your office chair is more comfortable than the chair you're sitting at home, drop by the office, load it in the truck, and take it home with you. So we had a lot of staff in the office who took extra monitors, who took their office equipment home, printers, and we're keeping track of all the inventory. Don't worry, but we're allowing folks to take things home to make it a little more comfortable at home, so that's going on. Plus, we have a group chat. So our group chat in the office. We're already a social bunch, which is kind of strange coming from the registrar side. Usually it's the admissions officers who are the fun bunch, but we joke around with each other, and so we have a group chat. So we send a couple of messages that are maybe professional. The rest are just funny memes or funny pictures that we've come across. A staff member with their teenagers or young kids in the background, or the one that traveled last week, if you've seen it, is the one where the cat and the lawyer, the attorney. That one was pretty fun. That got circulated around through the group chat a little bit. But and occasionally I'll post a funny picture of me, doing something funny at my desk at home, or I've also attempted to do the cat picture, but it doesn't quite work. But in any event, so we do things to kind of keep morale up in the office. We still want to socialize. We still want to get to share not only what's going on and ask for help, but we also want to share that we just want to have a laugh once in a while. So anyway, those are a couple of things that we're doing in our office to kind of help keep morale up. And sorry to jump in on you guys' conversation. So,
hello, this is Jean Brooks from Trident Tech. I will say one of the things that I have enjoyed that just recently started was that our wellness center instructor has a Wednesday walk with staff to join. It's about 30-45 minutes, socially distanced, and of course we wear masks. It's outside, but getting to see some of the colleagues that you haven't seen in a while from other departments is always nice. And sometimes you can do a little bit of business while you're walking and talking. So that's always a good thing.
Thanks for sharing that, Jean. And I think that you broke up a little bit on that, but that's really great that you guys have that opportunity to be able to meet with each other. And Jonathan, thank you for jumping in and sharing your information too. Anyone else like to jump in on this? What other topics would you guys like to discuss? We do have about 15 minutes, 20 minutes left. And I promise you don't want to hear me talk that long.
This is Tyler at ASU BB again. I guess circling back to an earlier topic, we are having in-person preview day events, but they're small, limited to 35 students each. we've been advertising and sending out communications to attract students to those. And we are seeing that even getting students to engage with these in-person events is just not being as successful as it has in the past. And I think part of that is, we've relied on schools to bus in hundreds of students in the past as well. So for anyone that is doing those smaller on-campus events and not just posting walk-in hours, are y'all seeing a certain hesitancy of students or lack of engagement with coming to an on-campus event as well?
Ty, you cut out at that very end. If you would repeat that for us, please.
Is anyone seeing any hesitancy with students to come to a campus event, even if they're small and socially distanced?
Is anyone other than ASUBB doing any kind of in-person recruitment events? I know that a couple of people have mentioned that they're doing like some drop-ins or drive-in stuff, but is anyone else hosting actual small group or around that 35 max or something like that and in person? Ty, I think you guys may be paving the way for everybody else as far as the on-campus events go then. It doesn't look like anybody else here is doing the on-campus quite yet. I'm hoping that we'll be able to soon, but we have not done any group on-campus events yet.
Well, I will say the logistics have been a nightmare.
I can only imagine.
This is John again. I'm obviously not in the admissions side, so I quickly looked on the website for our admissions office and they have a page devoted to that. I'll stick it in the chat if you wanted to take a look at it. But all the different, it's mostly all virtual, but there is a freshman info session and on-campus tour option. It's very limited in number and scope, but they do have a walking tour of the campus that's led by a student, but they do not go into buildings. So there's at least some information on that. I'm not the expert, so don't ask me any questions about that. I'm just reading it. Just as well as you can read it. But most of the other experiences, and of course, everybody's offering the walking tour, I'm sure, where you do it on your own. Just kind of use a map and kind of walk around your own on campus. But that's available as well. But everything else is pretty much virtual at this point. So, but that's University of North Carolina in Charlotte.
Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate you sharing that link for us. What else, you guys? We have about 15 minutes max left to talk about whatever is on your mind and whatever is pressing and most interesting to you. So let's make the max out of it.
This is Jean again. I just had a quick question. When you guys are offering on-campus tours, what is your guidance on that? The 6 feet, of course, mask, but what else? Is there anything you guys are doing differently?
For us, we have hand sanitizer stations all over campus, and so as we walk through, we don't go into classrooms or anything like that, but we will walk through 2 of our main buildings, and we do ask that students sanitize their hands, prior to that. And then our nursing department will allow students to view like their sim lab, but not actually go in it, so that they can kind of get a little bit of a visual of what they would be participating in our nursing program. But again, our tours are either a single person or single family at a time. So we're not mixing a large group of students. And we're just walking them around campus, and then we'll have them in our office with the social distance and the masks and all required. What are the rest of you guys doing that are doing the on-campus tours?
We're pretty much following the same guidance here. Obviously, we do not take people through our residence halls anymore, and we also do not bring them through our cafe. But when they show up, we do self-screening questions with them as well. So when they sign up for the campus tour online, they answer self-screening questions, and if they answer in a way that indicates they cannot come to campus, we reach out with a virtual tour option. And then if they come to campus and they answer affirmatively to any of that, we ask them if they can either reschedule for a future date or have them do a virtual tour at that time.
Anyone else care to chime in or have any other topics that they would like to discuss?
One last question. This is Jean again. For the drive up for financial aid day, something was brought up. I'd kind of like to know how that process would work.
So what we did was, this is Andrea Jordan. We partnered with our school system here in Memphis. We had the children to sign up. I don't have all the details in front of me, but if you, I could give you my email address and I could get with the person who actually organized that event and send you that information. But they were, I think they had to have their FAFSA already completed, or they could complete it. We had popcorn. It was just basically an informational session, because a lot of kids, as you know, they didn't have access to computers at that time. We were still in the process of giving out devices to students, and some students, they are using their phones. So we just showed them ways that they could get things done. We use an online system called Dynamics that allows them to upload their forms. And so they were able to do that, and those forms go directly to admissions or to the financial aid office, depending on what the document is. And we just allowed them to have the opportunity, because they were in their cars. The cars were socially distanced. We had it people from admissions. We had the recruitment team out there, and our recruitment team has been really, really good with keeping up with these kinds of events, meeting with the meeting with the high school guidance counselors and making sure that kids are kept up to date on what they need, when things need to be turned in, but sometimes kids fall behind. And so that was the purpose of that event, to get them where they needed to be, to make sure that they met that deadline and make sure that they were able to get the money that was due to them.
Thank you. And can you add your email to the chat box and I'll grab it?
I sure will.
Miss Jordan, this is Carrie Deadwater again with Jones College. Do y'all have an integrated admissions and financial aid team there at your institution?
No, it's two separate offices. Admissions is in one office, and then you have financial aid. But we do work together, and that was one of those times where we had to work together with them. We work with recruitment. We work a lot with recruitment. They do a lot of, going out, getting the students in, telling them what they need. We use something called Signavine, because a lot of kids now, they're very tech savvy. And so they may not read an email, but if we text their phone, they're going to get that text message in a matter of minutes. And so they're been responding to the text messages in a very good way.
Thanks so much for sharing that information with us.
You're welcome.
Any other topics that anyone wants to discuss? You guys have all been great resources today, so I really appreciate you guys sharing what you're doing at your institutions. Any other topics or questions? We have about 7 minutes left in the session.
I hate to always be the one butting in, but this is Tyler at ASUBB again. Outside of purchasing names through ACT, has anyone else had good luck with any other prospect development, either tools or services that they've used, since a lot of the normal in-person recruitment events where we would normally gather a lot of these didn't happen?
I'm sorry, just to confirm, the question was, have there been new opportunities that sprung up since moving more remote and more online? Was that the question?
If anyone's engaged with any way of developing contacts or prospects outside of just purchasing names from ACT.
Has anyone had any luck with finding resources for prospect development? If not, are there any other topics that you guys would like to discuss here in the last couple of minutes?
Does anybody ever think that things will return to normal? Or is this the new normal moving forward?
Patricia Hall again from Parker. I think that this is a new normal, or that at least it's that what we thought was normal in the before, that will never come back. So I don't know. Besides, like, I don't know. It's interesting to see history, how, because I've talked to my mom about this too, and she points out that right after the 1918 pandemic, it was the roaring 20s. Like nothing happened. So it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold. But I think what we had before, I don't think that's coming back. Where we're always going to have hand sanitizing. We're always going to have some presence of masks, especially if variants are coming up that you don't have a vaccine for, then you need to continue those precautions, right? So it'll be interesting, but we're in it together, right?
I think we,
Oh, I was going to say, I think that this is a new normal for us, where we have had to be more creative and figure out different platforms to use during this time. I think that when things do settle down at some point, we'll be able to look back and see what it was, what our takeaways from this time were, and how we can still incorporate some of the ways that we have either recruited students or had different classroom delivery, styles, some of those things. So I think that going back to the old normal is probably going to just be a thing of the past.
I was going to say, as far as the presence of masks and social distancing, really we'll just probably doing what a lot of Southeast Asian countries have already been doing for decades. I mean, you'll see a lot of people wearing masks before this pandemic ever happened, just during cold and flu season.
I agree with you guys. And like last week, we had inclement weather. And for us, it was just like, okay, no big deal. It's inclement weather. We'll just pivot to online learning. And so I have a junior in high school, and I know for him, he probably used to pray for snow days so that there was no school. But now there's like no such thing as no school. Or for us, we don't have snow days or inclement weather. It's a remote work day or a remote learning day for the students. So I think in a lot of ways, we've learned how to be creative and make things work and be able to accomplish our work and goals from a remote location in the event that we can't make it because of weather or a pandemic or cold and flu season or, you know, something else that's similar to COVID. So I think for us, that has changed how we do business in a lot of ways, not just in education or higher education, but I think all across the country in everything that we do. I mean, I have never ordered more things on Amazon than I have in the past year. And in fact, it's probably become more of an addiction. But I think just in general, this is kind of a new normal for everyone. Anyone else have any input before we wrap up? Because it is 11:45, and I really appreciate you guys and all of your feedback and sharing of information. And it's really great to interact with colleagues, even if it's not in person. So thank you guys so much for joining and for sharing your information and all with us today.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you all so much.